LeBron has made his decision. He is going to the Philadelphia 76ers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Crashing Out podcast. This is absolutely an emergency podcast because LeBron James is headed to Philly to join Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, and VJ Edgecombe. An absolutely stacked starting five. I am shocked he is going to Philly. I have been going back and forth. That one day I thought he was going to the Miami Heat. Obviously, we know the Miami Heat accidentally posted that video on their YouTube channel that said LeBron James introductory press conference on July 27th. Clearly, that's not happening. I wonder if that played a role in LeBron deciding to go to Philly. Who knows? For a second, we always knew maybe a return back to Cleveland for a third time, ending the storybook career of LeBron James where it started. That always made sense to me. That's not going to happen. Golden State was always an option. I thought that was something that was really going to happen. The longer that Draymond stood a free agent, the longer I believe that LeBron James is going to eventually just go to Golden State, go with Steve Kerr in his last season in Golden State, be with Draymond, be another Curry sidekick, which is what I personally did not want for LeBron in his legacy. But he decides at the end of the day to take his talents to Philadelphia and join an already stacked starting five. What an offseason for the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's start with that. First, the crazy couple of months for them. They come back from 3-1 against our arch rival Boston Celtics. They pick up Dean Wade and they steal him from the Cleveland Cavaliers. They go and then land Jaylen Brown in a trade that features Paul George and 2 first-round picks. And now they sign LeBron James, and they're going to be paying one of the greatest of all times, $4 million a year to slide into their starting power forward position next to Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, VJ Edgecombe, and Tyrese Maxey. This is an insane starting five. And my first reaction to this now starting five is there's only one ball. I'm concerned by that. Obviously Joel Embiid is not going to play the entire season. We know the Embiid injury is going to come at some point, or just the fact that they're not going to want to play him too many games to avoid another injury. Jaylen Brown clearly wants the ball. He clearly wanted to be out of the shadow of Jason Tatum and wanted his own team. Well, that's clearly not going to happen this year, my boy. You're going to be under the microscope of LeBron James potentially being his last season. And when I mean that being his last season, I'll get into that after I talk about this starting five. And then you have Tyrese Maxey, who was one of the fastest, quickest players in the league, who has become, in my opinion, the face of the franchise in Philadelphia. Maxey's obviously an all-star. And then you have second-year player VJ Edgecombe, who I'm sure would also like to get the ball sometimes as well. So this starting five, I think the biggest question mark for them is going to be obviously health. Can they stay healthy? And also number 2, can they put an adequate bench to give this team depth? Number 3, there's only one ball. And apparently the problem with LeBron in LA was that he didn't want to play the third person role, the three-headed beast of behind Luka and Austin Reeves. But to go from that to now Philly, where if Joel Embiid is playing, there's only one ball, and it's going to be hard for them to have to figure that out. But it's LeBron James. I'm sure he wanted this new challenge. I'm sure he wanted a new chapter. I think that all played a significant role in this decision. He's already done Cleveland twice. He already did Miami. He was already in LA for 8 years, which was his longest run with any team in his storied career. Now he has a new challenge in Philadelphia. I think that the plan is you won't see LeBron play back-to-back still. I think the same applies with Joel Embiid. And I think that's how they'll figure out how to share the ball. If this team stays healthy and their chemistry isn't swayed in any way and Jaylen Brown doesn't become an issue and he's able to share the ball and the spotlight with LeBron, Embiid, and Maxey and VJ, then this is the best team in the Eastern Conference, hands down, in my opinion. I think they're that good. Jaylen Brown was an MVP candidate. If Joel Embiid stays healthy, he's still 25, 30 points per game. Tyrese Maxey is one of the best guards in the league. VJ Edgecombe, I'm very high on. I think VJ Edgecombe has all-star potential. And then you put in one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time, LeBron James, slide him in there. And then again, they picked up Dean Wade. Dean Wade is a fantastic three-point shooter and a really good defender. He was a significant part of that Cleveland starting five last year. So yeah, this has been an absolutely phenomenal offseason by the Philadelphia 76ers. Who knew that just immediately as soon as you fire Daryl Morey, you immediately become a high-functioning front office, and then you end up picking up 2 All-Stars in the offseason when nobody really had Philly doing much this summer. Like, I don't remember hearing anything about the Sixers going into this offseason. By the way, they also have one of the best coaches in the league in Nick Nurse. And dude, like, who would have known that Jameer Nelson, who is now the person running the Sixers, former Orlando Magic point guard was this smart and this good at negotiating deals. Like one offseason without Daryl Morey, and the Sixers have became one of the favorites to win the NBA championship. And I really do believe that. If they could get past injuries, if they could survive the Joel Embiid off games and the LeBron off games, and Jaylen Brown doesn't become a headache, this team will be in the NBA Finals next June. I still think they need to figure out some of their bench situations. I think they need more depth in that department. But they have done a really good job, a fantastic job to position themselves as title favorites. Like nobody had them coming back 3-1 against Philly. Nobody had them getting Jaylen Brown. Nobody had them getting LeBron James. What a complete night and day changing of the guard in Philadelphia. They were just in my opinion, they were kind of stuck in the mud because you didn't know what you're going to get from Joel Embiid anymore. Tyrese Maxey was becoming the face of the franchise. They were stuck with that idiotic, ludicrous Paul George contract, which is still, till this day, one of the worst contracts ever given out, one of the worst max contracts ever given out, and still one of the worst contracts in the league, by the way. I don't know why Boston was so down to just accept it, but they were stuck in this frame of Maxey, Embiid, Paul George, and in 2 months, dude, now they have this super team that is potentially going to lead them to the NBA Finals. As for LeBron James, again, as I mentioned, I do wonder if he had such a struggle being behind Luke and Austin, how he's going to able to adjust with this team. Maybe he realizes that this team has so much talent in the starting five, he doesn't want the ball as much. Maybe he's okay accepting that role in Philly, and he wasn't okay accepting that role in LA because in LA he felt entitled to having the ball and being the guy because again he was there for 8 years. He never really had to come to the Lakers. The Lakers were in purgatory before he got there, and maybe he felt entitled to that. And now in Philly, he's kind of just like, look, I just want to compete for a championship. Clearly, it wasn't about money. Clearly, it wasn't about the city being close to home, because if it was, he probably would have just taken the most money that was being offered, and he probably would have also just went to Golden State. LeBron tweeted right after he made his decision that he was considering retirement, that he really truly believed that he had played his last game when the Lakers were eliminated by the Oklahoma City Thunder. And he really thought about it, and he came to the decision that he wanted to play one more year, and the goal was to win a championship. And he felt that Philadelphia gave him that best opportunity. Now, looking at it now, I do think him and the Lakers breaking up could have been avoided, and I think he would have been better off in LA. Especially now with the team the Lakers have. They're younger, they're faster, they have more defense, they're better at rebounding, et cetera, et cetera. But obviously, Phil, compared to, because I really didn't think he would go to Philadelphia. I really thought in my heart of hearts, Miami, Cleveland, Golden State. And I looked at Golden State, and I say, even if he went to Golden State, it never made any sense. Him as Curry, ending his legacy as Curry's sidekick with the team who starts pods as shooting guard, who has Horford and Porzingis as their bigs, and Draymond. I mean, like, the only reason he would go to Golden State, in my opinion, was family, because it would have been close to LA. He could have just taken a PJ back and forth. Draymond glazing him, even though Draymond glazes him without him being a Warrior. And I really thought that would have been an awful situation for him compared to the Lakers, who, again, got younger, faster, better defensively, and all those other categories. Cleveland also made sense because home, you know? But then again, I thought about it. I'm like, why would he go from Luka Austin? He didn't like that situation, to Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, whose usage is through the roof. And then Miami, I thought if he went to Miami, LeBron would be used the way the Lakers used him in 2020. LeBron would be their quote unquote point guard, and he would have Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bam Adebayo as his big and rolls to the rim. Like, that would have been a massive thing to see, and like I would have been interested in that. But at the end of the day, he picks the 76ers, who now, it's going to be interesting, man. You're going to have LeBron fast breaks with Maxey in the corners with VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown as a slasher, Jaylen Brown who can go isolation, Joel Embiid who could isolate, Joel Embiid who could shoot the three. A pick and roll between LeBron and Joel Embiid is going to be very entertaining and very interesting to see play out. Hell, a pick and roll between him and LeBron and Jaylen Brown, or LeBron and Tyrese Maxey, or LeBron and VJ Edgecombe. There are so many deadly weapons in this Sixers starting five. It's going to be interesting to see how Nick Nurse puts it all together. And Nick Nurse has coached stacked teams before. I mean, he hasn't stacked a team with the multiple superstars before, because I don't consider Paul George and being the superstar by the time he got to Philadelphia. And even when he was in Toronto, when he won the championship with Kawhi, I mean, let's be honest, that team was just stacked with talent. It wasn't just Kawhi and another superstar. It was Kawhi and Danny Green and Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry and Marcus Gasol and Serge Ibaka. Like they were stacked. That's it. That Toronto team, as great as Kawhi was, and don't get me wrong, Kawhi was fantastic. Nick Nurse was a phenomenal coach at that time, and he still is. And he had a lot of players to use. This team, again, it's going to come down to health. Can Joel Embiid stay healthy? Can Joel Embiid stay healthy enough up until the playoffs? Can LeBron James stay healthy and get over the sciatica and the arthritis and you know the long season that is ahead? Can Jaylen Brown not be a prima donna and get out of his own shadow and be able to share the wealth of the ball? He's already won an NBA championship. He's already a Finals MVP. How much is he? How determined is Jaylen Brown to go win another championship? Is it about him or is it about winning more? That's going to be the interesting thing. Like Jaylen Brown to me is the wild card here. What does Jaylen Brown want? Does he want to be the guy and just have all the acclaimed awards and stuff as being the guy, or does Jaylen Brown want to compete for another title? That's going to be the interesting thing to look at. And Tyrese Maxey, who I still view as the leader of this Sixers franchise, as I still view Tyrese Maxey as the face of the team. I know they have LeBron and Jalen and Embiid, but to me, Tyrese Maxey has been the guy who has improved the most, who has taken himself from being the backup point guard in the Philadelphia Sixers team to being the guy, the franchise, the all-star player. Obviously, the clutch connection is there between Tyrese Maxey and LeBron James. So that always made sense. It did seem like Rich Paul wanted to team LeBron James up with another clutch client, as LeBron has done in the past for so many years. Like Clutch still wanted to have some pull and some say and have two guys on one team. They get that with Tyrese Maxey and LeBron James. And I think that was very clear the moment Rich Paul mentioned that if Darius Garland was still in Cleveland, LeBron James most likely would have had an easier time picking Cleveland because clearly Clutch wanted LeBron with another Clutch participant. I'm very interested to see how this plays out. I think the Sixers had a phenomenal draft as well. I think Phil Jr. is going to be a fantastic rookie. Like I view him higher than the Cuff in Sacramento. So I think Philadelphia, they still need to work out some of the bench rotations. But as of right now, on paper, also again, VJ, they look stacked. They look like a team that defensively might have some issues. Defensively, I mean, that's where Dean Wade comes from. That Dean Wade is going to get a lot of minutes in this team, especially off the bench now, clearly. Even without LeBron James, I still thought this Philly team was going to be a top 3 team in the East with just Dean Wade slid in at the power forward position because Dean Wade, again, could shoot and defend. But now you put LeBron, and those Sixers Knicks games are going to be absolutely entertaining. Maxey versus Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns versus Joel Embiid, Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart versus LeBron James and Jaylen Brown. Like it's going OG Anunoby, VJ Edgecombe. Like you're going to have like those two teams starting fives stack up so well together. And then you look at Miami. What do the Miami Heat do? They still got to fill out their roster. Yeah, they have Giannis and Bam. Yeah, I do think this team is going to be one of the best defensive teams in the league with Giannis, Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell. But they still need to find a starting small forward now or another forward to put in place. They need a playmaker. I would not be shocked if the Miami Heat now turn and go sign somebody like DeMar DeRozan. Obviously, they have interest in Russell Westbrook. I don't know how great that would work out. That seems like another non-shooter. They already have Davion and Giannis. Like, I don't think you want to add Westbrook to that. And DeRozan also was just a mid-range guy. The Heat are going to have to make some decisions. Pat Riley's going to have to make some really difficult additions or subtractions to fill out this Miami Heat roster. Cleveland, I don't know where they go to. They lost Dean Wade. They don't get LeBron. They most likely are now the favorites, though, to land Jonathan Kuminga. So if you were a Laker fan looking forward to Kuminga coming here, I would forget about Kuminga if you're a Laker fan. He's been wanting to go to Cleveland. He has been waiting for LeBron James to say no to Cleveland so he can head to Cleveland. He wants to team back up with Kenny Atkinson, who used to be an assistant coach with the Warriors. So clearly that's why Kuminga views himself as a great option over there with Harden and Mitchell. He slides right in that forward position next to Mobley and Allen in LA. He most likely would have been the starting power forward, but I think he prefers to be in the Cleveland situation because of the familiarity with Kenny Atkinson, who's the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's the most interesting to me. What is the next couple of moves are going to happen? Obviously, Miami has to do something. Cleveland has to do something. We found out this morning or earlier last night or later last night that Golden State basically said if we don't get LeBron James, we're just going to give Draymond Green all the money. Which, I mean, again, what does Golden State do now? You put all your cards on the table. You thought Curry and Draymond and the glazing they did was enough to get LeBron to Golden State. Didn't work out. Now where do you turn to? There really is no quick fix. Do they turn to DeMar DeRozan to try to put him in there? I don't think that helps. I think the Warriors, honestly, I think the Warriors Curry window. Maybe this is a hot take. I don't think it is. Maybe I'll get hit for this and get flamed for this. I think the Warriors Curry, Kerr, Draymond window's been closed for a minute. I think that window closed the moment the Lakers eliminated them in the second round a couple years ago. That's just always been my opinion. They're always going to get the benefit of the doubt from the media, but I think this Warriors, Curry, Kerr, Draymond saga, franchise altering saga is over. I don't think players want to be there. I don't think they have. I don't think Dunleavy Jr. is a good enough GM to get the job done. I do like who they drafted in Yaxel Landenberg. I think he's going to be a fantastic rookie. But Golden State, they're just not what people think they are. Still, they're just their window's closed, and they need to start looking at the future, because this Curry Draymond thing, at best, playing, and they'll probably miss the playoffs again. And who knows when Jimmy Butler decides to return? And when he does return, he'll be 37 years old, coming off of a torn ACL. This is an older team, and I'm glad LeBron James realized that even if you went to the Warriors, anytime things went bad in Golden State, he was going to be immediately blamed. They didn't want him there. They never liked him. They never will. Even if him going there wouldn't have changed that. He would have just got the brunt of the blame if things went bad in Golden State. So I'm glad LeBron James decided to go to the Sixers. I'm shocked. I'm surprised. I didn't see him in his last couple of years wanting to try something new. I thought he was at the point of his career, and obviously he deserves it. 24 plus years in this league, a legacy unmatched, a run that he's still playing at a high level. He's still a 20 something, 25 points per game guy. Yeah, some nights he's going to look bad. Some nights he's not going to play defense. Some nights he's not going to rebound well. But he's still LeBron James. And honestly, seeing the picture of him in the early 2000s black Sixers jersey number 23, it looks pretty sick. I'm not going to lie, man. The aura's there. If you're a Sixers fan, congratulations. You've landed LeBron James. I know this is very quick. I know I'm like rambling and I'm just yapping real quickly. It's because I'm literally like packed to go on a trip right now. So I'm trying to do this as quick as possible before I got to head out. But yeah, I just want to do this very quickly. LeBron James headed to the Philadelphia 76ers. What does this mean for the Lakers real quickly, just so I could talk about my team shamelessly on my podcast? I think for the Lakers, this was best case scenario for you. I think, you move on. I know the Rich Paul's going to keep saying that LeBron James broke up with the Lakers, that LeBron James was the one that decided to leave the Lakers. The real truth is, and this is the last time I'll speak on this because I'm over it. We're moving on. I am forever, forever grateful for what LeBron James brought to the Lakers. He got us a championship, and that's all that matters. But nothing's more important than the name in front of the jersey. I've always said that forever. There's nothing more important than the name in front of the jersey, which is Lakers. Wish him the best. Hope he succeeds. Go beat the hell out of Boston. Go run the East again. Happy for you, Bron. With all that being said, Rich Paul, shut the hell up. Like, is your podcast just dedicated now to just shitting on the Lakers? Look, you can sit there and say it 1,000 times. Well, LeBron broke up with the Lakers first. LeBron left the Lakers. Brother, the Lakers filed divorce papers last summer the moment they didn't give LeBron James an extension. That is the truth. That is the reality. We all knew that LeBron James wasn't going to come back as a Laker. That we all knew that this team that we saw last year wasn't going to come back to the Lakers. It was said so many times that last year's team or last year's season was a gap year to get to this summer to build the team that was going to stick around for the next 3 to 4 years. And that's exactly how it played out. The Lakers weren't going to be swayed from their plan. They didn't care that the Lakers won 10 plus games in a row in March. They didn't care that the Lakers eliminated the Houston Rockets in round one. If anything, that spoke more about how mediocre the Houston Rockets were and how bad of a coach Ime Udoka is and how bad their core is. That spoke more about Houston than it meant for this Laker team. The Lakers were never going to be committed to last year's team. We knew that since the earliest of last season, all the way throughout the season. They didn't care. The 10-game winning streak, yeah, March was nice. They were the hottest team in the league. But the reality was this. They knew in their hearts of hearts, from JJ to Pelinka to Mark Walter, that this team, they were good enough to eliminate Houston, They weren't even close enough to eliminate the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they would have gotten absolutely destroyed by the San Antonio Spurs. Those are the facts. They were never going to commit to this team, and the plan was always going to be what it ended up being. They were ready to move on from Clutch. They were ready to move on from LeBron, because if they weren't, they would have offered it an extension last summer. So the divorce papers were pretty much laid out last summer, the moment they told LeBron James, yeah, we ain't giving you that extension, buddy. We're going to wait out, and we're going to keep our cap space plan, and we're going to save it no matter what happens. Nothing is swaying our plans. Now, was the plan always Walker Kessler, Mamu, Quentin Grimes, Colin Sexton, Looney, Zari Williams, Matisse Thybulle? I don't know. I don't know if that was the plan all along. And I still think the Lakers need work to do. They have 16 players on their roster right now. That exceeds the max you can have going into a season. So either two players or one player are going to be sent out or just cut. If I had to assume, I would think it's either going to be Dalton Connect, Vanderbilt, who I have doubts about Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt's contract is just so disgusting and nobody in the league wants it. If people wanted the Vanderbilt contract, they would have already taken it. That's the clearest fact of all. Nobody wants Vanderbilt's contract. It's an awful contract. And I think also the Lakers are going to realize that and are realizing it now. But the Lakers still have an issue. They need a power forward. I wish they would have kept Rui Hachimura, but I understand why they didn't keep Rui Hachimura. The reason they signed Mamu, and that is their Rui replacement, is because Mamu does a lot more than just shoot and be athletic. The problem with Rui has always been that he's a really, really bad defensive player, and he's a really, really bad rebounder. The Lakers have made it their goal to address their rebounding issues from the last two seasons. The Lakers' rebounding was god awful. If it wasn't for LeBron taking plays off because of his age, it was Rui not knowing where he was on the defensive side of the court. There's so many videos of players yelling at Rui to get to his spot. And DeAndre Ayton's hands were so small, the dude cannot palm a basketball. So the Lakers gave up so many offensive rebounds, and the Lakers were so bad at defensive rebounding. They were giving up so many boards that the Lakers went into this summer to address that immediately. They go sign Walker Kessler, who's an elite rebounder. Mamu is a really good rebounder. Mamu actually led the league on rebounds to scoring possessions. Go look that up. He's one of the best players at rebounding and going coast to coast and either playmaking or going straight to the rim or shooting a three. He's elite at that. So they made sure to get Mamu to replace Rui because they wanted better rebounding. I don't like the Kevon Looney signing. I think Looney is absolutely washed. Fun fact, I know Shams tweeted that Looney's a lob threat. Out of the 8 baskets, or I believe it was like a handful of baskets that Looney had last year. Mind you, Looney only played in 21 games because his knee was cooked. Out of the handful of baskets that Looney scored last season, and it was very few, only one was a dunk. He had one dunk last year. Shams, why would you tweet that he's a lob threat? He had one dunk the entire season last season in New Orleans. They preferred playing DeAndre Jordan over Looney. I still think the Lakers need a better option at the backup 5. They desperately need a starting power forward. I don't think Mamu at the starting 4 is going to work. I like Mamu as the backup 4. I think Mamu coming off the bench instantly becomes a fan favorite. But they desperately need a starting power forward. I don't know where it's going to come from. I think, again, Kuminga's heading to Cleveland. I've heard rumors of a Kyle Kuzma reunion, a possibility of a Kyle Kuzma reunion that I would maybe crash out about. I don't know. I'll talk about that if that does happen. I know they're not interested in PJ Washington from Dallas because PJ Washington still has 4 years left on his contract. And the Lakers have no interest in paying that. And I don't think the Lakers have interest in paying Daniel Gafford $18 million to be their backup big. I think the Lakers want to bargain shop for another backup big and potentially bargain shop or do a sign and trade for a power forward like Kuminga. The issue with Kuminga is that he wants $20 million a year. The Lakers are only offering $10 million a year. Can they get to that number? I doubt it. So I don't know what the Lakers' plans are moving forward, but they do need to address the power forward position. Okay, I got to cut this out because I need to go. My boys, if you like this video, as always, like, subscribe, comment down below. What are your instant reaction to LeBron James heading to the Philadelphia 76ers? I apologize for this video or this pod being very short. I just wanted to get on screen real quick, let you guys know LeBron James is a Philadelphia 76ers. LeBron James is going to end his career in Philadelphia. And now the Philadelphia 76ers, in my opinion, are now the favorites in the Eastern Conference. Comment down below. Hit that notification button so you're notified when I drop a brand new video. You guys enjoy the start to your weekend. LeBron James, thank you for your 8-year run. I will forever be. Had you gone to the Warriors, this podcast would have been totally different. This would have been a totally different reaction. I salute you for going to the East, heading back to the Eastern Conference. Go beat the living shit out of the Boston Celtics. Go destroy that franchise. You and Jaylen Brown go humble the Celtics. Put them back where they belong at the bottom of the East. That's what I hope for. LeBron, thank you for the great 8 years. You were a Laker. You never had to come here. You brought a championship. I will forever be a fan. End your career in Philly. Go compete for a chip. We'll see you in June in the finals. I will see you guys next on the next episode of the Crashing Out podcast. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. Too sweet.